could be a game-winning, series-winning EMP right here.
It really could, but look at all the ultimates here for the NYXL. 6 online, Dynasty a bit further behind the grab. Not there for Fleta. They can still make this work, but it's going to be in overtime as they work their way forward. What was that? He eats it on the side. It doesn't do jack. Beko throws a bomb into the back of this play, trying to find something. Finally, EMP comes in. The shatter's absolutely huge. Jonik trying to keep him alive, and a novel gets picked in the sound barrier. Now the answering grab comes through. OT gonna be ticking down, and they've actually done it. Nene chokes at the final hour, throws the grab off to the side, and Dynasty say thank you very much. We're going to the semis.
Unbelievable upset.
The choke heard from around the world. A missed graviton that was the cherry on top of this whole series of NYXL failing to execute up against the Seoul Dynasty, a team who has never beat NYXL in the history of Overwatch League, including a series they played this stage where NYXL took it 3-1. We're going to break down this play and some other major aspects of this series, including something that's going to get forgotten to the sands of time. The opposite of this moment, NYXL did make a miraculous clutch on the previous map in order to even get us here. But first, let's clear up the mystery of the whiffed grav. Taimu was quick to correct this on Twitter, as well as Watchpoint, post-show, broke down the thought process. And to take that one step further, I think this simply is an entire incorrect read from the whole team. Expecting to get EMP'd at any moment, potentially losing the 6 ultimates that they all had banked up for this one team fight, they're ready for an early engage. So, Libero pops the rally early, and as soon as Nene gets a glimpse of the enemy Sombra, who's been mopping them up on this point repeatedly, he launches the graviton from far distance to try to isolate the EMP entirely. Now, there's a bit of a debate on whether this is a choke or not, because it clearly could have been an amazing play, but in my opinion, due to the travel time of the grav and not knowing which direction the Sombra was going to go, this was such an incredibly low percentage play that I can't imagine this ever being a better risk than simply playing your 6 ultimates anyway. Because the secret to beating EMP, we already know, is hiding your supports. And in fact, the EMP didn't even end up winning this fight. There's more going on here that nobody has even talked about. Let me break it down. Even after this grav gets whiffed, pretend that didn't happen. Animo and Jonek are hiding way off to the side to be away from the tanks when the EMP comes in. But the real hero of this entire play is Ryo Jae-hong, who takes a straight up 1v1 up against Animo and wins it, losing the sound barrier, which could have came in clutch after the EMP. The EMP did nothing. Jonek was there around the corner with his Transcendence. EMP was not a problem. The supports already outplayed it. So, if Nene did have the grav to survive after the EMP landed with an overall ult advantage, yeah, I do think they had a chance to bring this fight back. As Taimu describes it on Twitter, the thought process is, if Nene doesn't take the risk in order to grav the EMP here, the grav Diva Bomb combo is going to get beat by a number of things. Zarya bubbles or the defensive ults from the defense. Which, yeah, I can see that being the case, but look at how it played out with no grav at all. NYXL survived against the EMP. They could have used these ultimates after the fact. The real hero was Jae-hong. And in my mind, this is NYXL trying to play in a style that they're not used to. When have we ever seen them try to go for these clutch maneuvers, low percentage plays? They do the opposite of that. They play structured Overwatch with clean ultimate engages. That's what they've been doing the entire stage long. So this idea that, well, now all of a sudden we're going to be this clutch team who pulls out ultimates willy-nilly, like, you know, maybe Vancouver does a bit, to me, that looks like a choke. And of course, it wasn't just Nene. In an earlier team fight, when they could have swung an ult advantage coming back, Jonak pops his Transcendence to do not very much when they could have reset, showing shades of stage 1 last year. So, really disappointing. I know we all wanted to see the unstoppable force go up against the immovable object, Vancouver Titans up against NYXL, but again, they rob us of an insane finals. How dare you, New York? Okay, there's other things about this series I want to point out and then go into a breakdown of the coolest clutch I've probably ever seen in the history of pro Overwatch, that Volskaya game. But first, the bad news. Beyond this ult fight here at the end of Rialto, which would have sent it into a 5th map if they were able to win. The majority of this series, Mano and Meko weren't really holding their own on the front line. Mano especially, who continuously got outplayed by Fissure. Normally, throughout the entire season, Mano is the most accurate main tank we've ever seen. I thought he was having the best stage of any tank ever with how cleanly he's been playing, but he went up against 2 different main tanks and looked weak against both of them. He's trying to sneak in Earth Shatters that get blocked easily, or failing to react to Earth Shatter openings of the enemy. Multiple times in this series did JJoNak have to use Trance to save his downed teammates on the ground from a big Earth Shatter from the enemy, rather than be able to press an advantage with the Trance popping out. If Mano blocks a couple of these Shatters and the Trance comes in and they can swing with it, rather than just survive with it, this series may have gone the other way, which is the crazy thing about JJoNak. Despite his team getting rocked, and despite JJoNak getting hardcore countered by the entirety of Seoul, so many of the set plays that they designed were to target JJoNak, hacking his Transcendence, or to put the focus fire towards him to stop him from being able to carry. He was still popping off. That's what's insane. And it shows in the stats, because JJoNak died like 3 times more than Jaehong did in this series, and still somehow got more damage and healing output. That's incredible. Do the math on that. How insane do you have to play to be dead 3 times as much, but still somehow output the same? It just speaks for itself. But there's one thing New York fans can hold their heads high, is that despite dropping it on Rialto, they very nearly made a miraculous comeback 2 maps in a row. Starting out here on Volskaya, where they make every clutch move possible. Safely get around to point in order to get a tag in to start the overtime. Mano blocks a shatter this time. Seoul can't follow up, and Jaehong pops the Trance, saving his team and forcing the front line of Seoul back. Pressuring Fleta to grab from outside of a hole, which Meko eats up from the side. And now the tables have turned. NYXL have their own grab, but also pop the sound barrier just in case, and set up the combo play that they've executed so many times before. Mano timing the pin so that he makes contact with the enemy as the D.Va bomb's about to explode. Munchkin's forced to trade the pin, but the boop comes through on the Reinhardt anyway. From Animo, man, that's beautiful. 4K, whole team getting involved to try to make sure the D.Va bomb gets followed up on. This is the type of thing I was looking to see on Rialto, okay? I think they still could have done this if they played more defensively to drain the EMP and survive, then carefully set it up like they do time and time again, rather than rushing it out immediately. Oh, just toss grab. Oh, just toss self-destruct up in the air. Hopefully it works. Okay, rant over. They do go into point B, and this next segment of gameplay is some of the most insane clutch decision-making that we've ever seen, on top of mechanical prowess in the clutch. All right, with time ticking down, and NYXL knowing that EMP is about to be up for Michelle, what do? Uncharacteristically, they go deeper than you would ever expect. Mano teleports into the backline with a Zarya bubble on top, looking to swing on the Brigitte. Why? Because they know this EMP is coming out. They can't stop it. They have to go aggro to try to trade out to get some value out of their tanks before they're standing out in the open with no shield and nothing to do. And with the ults trading in the previous fight, they know they have a small window to go as aggro as possible, so Mano suicides in, and that Brig kill is going to be a massive difference maker. The EMP still comes through, of course, and the tanks are left out high and dry, but most importantly, the carry characters for NYXL stay alive. Brig, Zarya, and Zenyatta. If you've got those 3 alive, in the GOATS meta, anything is possible. They focus down Fleta, enemy Zarya out. JJoNak goes low, but the bubble comes through to save him in the last moment. He gets a frag onto Jexay. Focus fire comes through, Transcendence comes before the Brigitte can get focused down. Libero gets rally up yet again. Keep in mind, he used it in the previous fight on the initiation. Wow, what an incredible turn of events. NYXL pull out a miraculous double cap with no time left. And it's on top of the fact that they put themselves in this position to begin with, based on a miraculous retake coming through, trickling in to touch the objective and stall it out. It's another reason why we don't see damage comps very often, because Seoul Dynasty here is playing outrageous with some of these damage characters, but it just doesn't matter thanks to the math of how the sustain characters with their support ults and rally and extra lives on the tanks and everything else, you can just keep coming through and you pop one of those ultimates like rally, get onto point, they can't make progress on it, and it takes you so long to kill them, the kills you just got respawn back anyway, and NYXL is able to do this, keep coming back. Jonak eventually comes on to his signature panic pick May, finding a headshot on the Tracer and sniping the Mercy out of the sky, turning this around. So it took a miraculous performance to even keep NYXL in this series, and they just needed one more miracle on Rialto to extend it to keep the series alive, but just not enough in the tank. And frankly, when NYXL's got their backs against the wall, we know that they're not the team that's going to pull out miraculous clutches. They're the methodical team, even clutching it out here on Volskaya. It's something that you would expect more out of a team like the London Spitfire, who won the grand finals last year. You just hate to see it happen. NYXL, so proficient and dominant in the regular season, even up against this very team. But when it comes to the postseason, you just never know what to expect from them. It reminds me a lot of like Peyton Manning back in the day, where he would just farm up stats in the regular season. But unlike his counterpart Tom Brady, who didn't always have the best stats, one was clutch in the fourth quarter and another not so much. And that's what NYXL's like. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out and lets us know that you're enjoying the content. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and be sure to click that bell icon so that you actually get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, Overwatch League predictions that get proved wrong when NYXL choke, and tank memes. That's been it for me. I've been FREEDO for your Overwatch. See you guys next time.